And as is our culture for the past few weeks, we are bringing you the NSMQ updates. And I'll be doing that this morning with a big smile on my face. So yesterday we sat at the edge of our seats as St. Peter's went against Presec against St. Augustine's College. And the scores were...
The scores were Augustine's College 39 points.
Thank you.
Presec Legon 34 points. And St. Peter's College, Akwetia, they are not a college, right? St. Peter's Secondary School. They had 29 points.
Yes. At some point, it was Augusco and Presec were at 34.
Yes.
Wow.
It was crazy, and then they just went for it. And so if you managed to be in Ghana and miss all the NSMQ action, that's where we are with the score. St. Augustine's College will be joining us this morning, as well as the quiz mistress and the MD for Prime Time, who organized the National Science and Maths quiz. But I'm joined by Achina and Edwin with the newspaper review. So guys, the headlines.
Okay, so let me begin with the Finder. The Finder says, the fight against corruption, government scores 60%. You find this at page 2, but 55% perceives corruption to be on the rise. We also have Presidential Pitch Season 2 to award entrepreneurs. It has been launched. Then also, Bridgeham launched assault complaint at Legon Police Station on June 30. The last of the stories is Dangote set to open phase 1 of 1.6 million metric tons fertilizer plant.
Well, let's go to the Daily Guide. In the front page of Daily Guide says, Nam1 is back, grilled by CID. We also have the Supreme Court to decide the fate of Ibrahim Mohammed's bauxite claims. Ghana gets free visa to the USA. Court clears EC officials of contempt. And if you open the center spread, NICE proposes that rapists should be killed. Prophet Odro berates gospel music quality. And at the back page, we have Black Stars sneaks in after AFCON fiasco. You know they arrived at dawn, right? Yes, dawn.
Okay, so let me do the chronicle.
When Pastor Twakwa was having the...
That's when they came. Quietly. You, Anka.
Okay, so this is the chronicle. The fire commander warns, don't use phones in kitchen. We also have NDC MP sing Nanado's praises in Parliament. It's about the 2019 Afro Barometer report, which says perception of corruption in police has reduced. We also have Nam1 returns but arrested by CID.
Yes, in the New Weekend Crusading newspaper, we have Anas is the 25th most influential African personality. At the front page, President Akufo-Addo's 2 years record is unmatched. It's NDC's mess that's being felt, argues Stephen Amwa. When you open the center spread, they have a story about MTN Bright Scholarship Award scheme closes. And there is also Ghana and other West African governments least committed to reducing inequalities in Africa.
The Ghanaian Observer, it looks like some of the stories are being repeated. Our achievements unbeatable, and this according to the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boadu. Osei Akoto's ministry keeping ministers alert, and this is from the Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia. NPA's fight against illicit fuel activities yield positive results. Ends with 2 more stories. Nam1 in police grips due for court today. Lastly, Ropal contempt application against EC boss dismissed.
There is an interesting story in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It says Ropa case, contempt against EC squashed. There is also the story about JB Dankwa Edu's murder case. AG ordered to properly tender medical report. The NHIA has now been given the powers to prosecute cases in courts.
Interesting.
I'm proceeding with the publisher. Afoko vomits blood at BNI, rushed to hospital. We also have Youth Employment Authority to establish cassava factory. Lastly, Nam1 in police cells. Then the last one, okay, but not the first one was not the last one. We have police judges are most corrupt in Ghana. Then Kumasi Rotary Park in top shape, Mayor.
Kumasi, did you say Kumasi?
Yes.
Kumasi Rotary Park.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. So Ashna, your story, you're telling us about Men's Gold, about Namwan being
I
back.
still have some headlines. I will just
Okay, go ahead.
push it out quickly, then we'll proceed.
Go on.
Okay, so we have the Daily Statesman. It says Yoko recovers 92.2 million Ghana cedis from criminal institutions, officials, and fraud money laundering. We also will go on lastly with the Daily Guide, which says Men's Gold CEO appears in court today. The National Science and Maths Quiz. Augustins are champions. We also have 2019 presidential page launched. Will provide funds for young entrepreneurs. Then the last story says polio resurfaces in Tamale.
All right, okay. Edwin, so Namwan is back in town.
Yes, Namwan is back in town. He arrived from Dubai 11 a.m. Yesterday. He's been in jail there since December last year. According to sources, Namwan is facing a provisional charge that includes collecting deposits without a license, money laundering, and defrauding by false pretense. Namwan is also expected to be brought before a trial judge today. According to sources, there are 21 different official complaints of fraud lodged against him at the CID headquarters regarding his activities at Men's Gold. You know, the reason why he was in Dubai for a long time was because a Dubai-based company, gold firm, Horizon Diamonds Royal, had reported that Namwan owed it more than $39 million. This figure is part of the reasons why we have been told Namwan is unable to pay depositors and investors with Men's Gold. Right now, the case has been decided. There was also an appeal process which has failed against the chief executive officer of Men's Gold. So right now, he's back in Ghana to continue where we left off before he left Ghana. After he was, I think Yoko had been investigating him for some time. Yoko was supposed to trail his activities. All of a sudden, we just heard one day that Namwan was no longer in the country, and then we had to go to court to get a warrant from Interpol to chase him all over the place. You know, in that Interpol arrest warrant, there were calls for his sister and one other and wife to be arrested. It's quite interesting that since that warrant was issued, we always talk about Namwan and not the two others. Right now, what we know is that the 4,999 customers of Men's Gold can begin to make some progress in trying to get their monies back. You know, the customers have been demonstrating since last year, January. Since last September. Almost every month, you have Men's Gold customers across the regions moving from region to region to demonstrate. The last time it was in Kumasi. They've also been to Takwa. They've also had one in Accra. Even a demonstration that was organized by the Coalition for Social Justice. You had heavy members of Men's Gold involved. It appears this issue is not going away, and until perhaps some reasonable solution is brought to the matter, you can expect this thing to travel way beyond our time.
Edwin, it's also not clear whether he submitted himself to the police or per the order that was issued for his arrest by Interpol. It's what compelled the state agencies in Dubai to bring him to Ghana. It does appear, however, is that the man is demonstrating, I don't know whether it's too early or we can say it now, good faith. Because initially when the case in Dubai was reported, we were told that he's going to, as it were, defraud those other people as he has done here in Ghana. Yeah. But this time around, he won the case in Dubai. And now he's coming and he submitted himself to court. He seems to be showing some signs of credibility. And the state agencies, from what his lawyers are telling us, are also treating him well. We hope that the processes will be very clear, everything laid out, so that at the end of the day, wherever things have gone amiss, we can be able to retrieve the money. The point, though, is that sometimes businesses do go wrong. It may not necessarily be of evil intention from the very beginning, but it does come about. You see, what can unravel that is when investigations clear all those out.
Yeah, but the point too is that it represents what happens when the state fails to live up to its responsibility of regulating.
I agree
You know,
with you.
people make regulating look so difficult, but the point is that anymore this morning you regulated yourself. You ironed your dress, isn't it regulation? The iron.
Self-regulation.
Exactly. So regulators must work. This laid-back attitude is just disappointing.
I get you. Let's go to corruption. The latest corruption perception index has been, as it were, made public by the Transparency International. Has been made public by Transparency International and its local agency, Ghana Integrity Initiative. This time round, they were looking at government effort at fighting corruption. From the surveys that they did, it says that 60% of Ghanaians do believe that government is aggressively addressing corruption. 60% of Ghanaians. 30% of Ghanaians disagree with this verdict, and we have 10% who were, as it were, undecided. Some specifics of the report highlighted that 55 perceive corruption to be on the rise. The first statistics was about the government effort at fighting it. This time around, 55 perceive that corruption to be on the rise between 2016 and 2018. We also have 23% indicated that corruption was on the decline. Then we have the report that says that men are likely to pay bribe than women. I don't know why they think that they should distinguish between men and women who are more prone to corruption. Then also it says that persons aged between 18 and 34 years are more likely to pay bribes than people who are aged above 55. Then the report recommended that key anti-corruption institutions must be funded. So you're talking about the CID, you're talking about the YOCO, you're talking about the BNI. BNI, do they fight corruption actually? And maybe civil society groups that actually campaigns on corruption. It says that the special prosecutor needs to do more as a matter of course to ensure that more people are prosecuted. For now, we know that just one person has been prosecuted. That will be out for the corruption.
So one
story.
person is being actually prosecuted.
Yeah.
Tell us about Amidu's case.
Yeah, well, Amidu's age case has been adjourned indefinitely at the Supreme Court. The suit challenging the appointment of the special prosecutor has been adjourned indefinitely because it will allow the Chief Justice Sophia Akuffo to reconstitute the 7-member panel hearing the case. The reconstitution of the panel was occasioned by the impending compulsory retirement of one of the panel members, the Justice Sophia Edinyira, who is due on July 31st this year. The panel has indicated that it may not be able to see the case to its logical conclusion. Therefore, their colleague judge needs to proceed. Before their colleague judge proceeds on retirement, hence they need to reconstitute the panel. You see, an interesting thing is happening at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is sitting on a case that says Amidu is too old to become special prosecutor. But suddenly, they have suspended the case because one of the judges is getting too old to sit on the case. You get the point. So we have to find judges who are within the proper age limit to sit on a case to decide somebody else's proper age limit. You get the point. They are going to interpret Article 191D of the 1992 Constitution, which requires all public office holders to be aged 60 and not anyhow beyond 65. Amidu was 66 at the time he was appointed. He will be marking his 67th birthday this year. Happy birthday.
Yeah, before I go to the health story in the graphic, let me just make the comment that there seems to be a struggle for the older people to give way for younger people to rule. Elsewhere, young people are contesting for positions of politics and administration. And I think that there's a general mindset that suggests that people who are young are inexperienced and cannot do it. We've seen the Facebook guys, the Zuckerbergs, and they are doing far more. The Dwayne Pierce, the Nimwas, the Dazis. And I think that when we are given the opportunity, we can do more. Okay, so the graphic is saying that Needy Child Fund has been launched for Upper East Regional Hospital, and this fund was necessitated by the fact that 17 parents who are taking their children to the Upper East Regional Hospital could not afford the bill, a bill of about 5,864 Ghana cedis, and for that reason they had to abscond after the medication was administered to them. And it's also because they didn't have the National Health Insurance card. 3 children died within the same period, and the hospital, the pediatric unit, had thought it wise to now set up a fund that will ensure that when people come, there's a way to support them, even though they may not have the necessary resources.
You mean support them even because they don't have health insurance cards, or they don't have money to pay for what the health insurance?
Whichever way. So let's say you come, you can either pay with your card or pay cash. So depending on your circumstance, we can help you get the health care that you need despite your situation. I think this is very good. But what I will also add is that it must be checked so that it doesn't, as it were, find itself in corrupt practices. Recently, I was in one of the health facilities. I won't mention the name. After everything has been tabulated, there was an item that said administrative charges, and I didn't know what that constituted, because they told me that a night is 60 Ghana cedis. This is that everything that they gave to us has been costed. So why are you giving me administrative charge of 60 Ghana cedis? When I asked further, they said that, oh, that will be for the light, that will be for the water. And I said, wow, but we paid for every single thing. When my wife was delivering too, we had a similar challenge. So I do think that people may want to help, but when it become prone to corrupt activities, then we will be viewing it with suspicion. Other than that, it's a good initiative that needs to be supported.
Right, okay. Edwin, tell us about this Mama G and the love charm situation.
The Food and Drugs Authority have arrested, in collaboration with the police, CID, have arrested one Elizabeth Togbo. Is it Togbo? Yes. Who goes by the name Mama G, for the sale of love charms. The arrest follows the discovery of a video showing Mama G granting an interview claiming she has sexual enhancement products which were not duly registered by the FDA. She was picked up on Wednesday, July 10th at her shop in Medina. During her arrest, this is the interesting part, several ladies had queued to buy the products, which many have termed as husband snatching juju. The product has been advertised as enhancing a woman's ability to keep her man by giving him a lot of memorable moments in bed. The interesting thing about this arrest is that her products are not registered. But those who are buying the products are buying it not because it is regulated or it is not regulated, but because of the promise. It appears to hold a certain spiritual promise. And I don't think the FDA has any capacity to regulate spiritual promises. So whether it is regulated or not regulated, you see, it reveals a certain psyche, a certain, how sex is being used as a tool.
And also a certain desperation.
Desperation, desperation to keep your man stuff, keep your man stuff. It's encouraging a lot of women.
I haven't seen any product that says keep your woman.
Keep your woman.
I don't see. What I'm saying is that there doesn't seem to be on the flip side that agents need.
Men, when we want to keep our man, we get physical. When we want to keep our woman, we get physical. We don't go to Mama G for all these things.
For spiritual
we get physical. I mean, if this is the threat, you face the threat physically. That is all. But for the women, there appears to be a certain need to always adopt some form of, psychic powers to keep their man. Keep their man. We should do a hashtag out of this thing.
Hashtag what?
Keep your man.
No, but you see, Edwin spoke all the right words, but the manner in which he said it seems to suggest as if we are happy with what Mama G may be doing.
No, of course
I'm not happy at all. I'm not happy at all. I mean, not
at all. I mean, even
somebody comes to snatch me from my wife.
It's not even that. But considering the fact that it's not approved by the FDA, I mean, there could be anything inside there, and so it's important that we stick to the law.
Yeah, but you see, the point is that if the FDA even comes out to say it's not approved, it bans the product and everything, the sale of the product, I'm saying it thrives not on regulation or laws.
No, it doesn't. It thrives on the need of the people.
Exactly.
And sometimes people are taken advantage of in their time.
They should watch Uncle Ebohai's play.
Indeed, they should. Thank you, Achina and Edwin, for joining me on the newspaper review. The online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and Goyle Good Energy. Make your day productive by relying on quality fuel from Goyle, your 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. Goil Super XP and Diesel XP are additivated to enhance strong engine performance and prolong the lifespan of your vehicle. Above all, you're guaranteed extra quality with a fuel analyzer from our mobile laboratory van. Get your money's worth every day by buying fuel and lubricants from any of Goil's over 360 service stations nationwide. And experience good energy. Buy Goil, grow Ghana. Goil, good energy, Goil. Yenara Yedia. When it comes to traveling with ease and comfort, Zenith Bank wide array of MasterCard and Visa cards will help you do just that. You can conveniently use your Zenith MasterCard and Visa cards at over 33 million Visa and MasterCard branded ATMs worldwide. On the internet for online purchases and payments, in shop for payments of goods and services at all Zenith Bank ATMs, and on local and international points of sale or retail outlets that accept Visa and MasterCard. Sign up today, or if you already have one, use the Zenith MasterCard and Visa cards for a great travel experience. Go light with Zenith Bank. It's faster and smarter. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. So we're going straight to My Joy Online, and Freddie Blade buses for NPP hit with suits. Kelliot's Royal Motors, the company registered under the laws of Ghana, has dragged the UMB to an Accra High Court in a bid to block the distribution of 100 buses to constituency executives of the NPP. There's also an opinion piece, Drop That Chamber Win, a case of civic activism or political awakening. The unexpected U-turn by that talks about Parliament dropping that chamber, if you've been following that story. BBC.com says young Africans are more likely to pay bribes than their elders. Transparency International says young people in Africa aged 18 to 34 are more likely to pay bribes than older people aged over 55 years. And this is still Super Morning Show here on Joy 99.7. We'll take a few messages and then we will go for the BBC News at 7 a.m.